Hey, scrappers and recyclers, it's Shark Scrapper. Check it out. I've not seen one of these before. It's like a little portable PC, you know, like that's not a laptop. It's cool. Wait a minute, let's get that handle up here. I mean, you know, that's really cool, but you know what we got to do? We got to dive in and see how this thing goes together. Yeah, I have never done one of these before. It's clearly some sort of PC. We've got RAM here. We've got some sort of motherboard stuff going on here. This is a slot card. You know, you can see where the gold finger's going on there. We've got a little hard drive here. Actually, I think that's a standard size hard drive. We'll see. And over here, we've got Airport. Looks like an Apple device. So this is really kind of interesting. So we're going to dive in here and take a look at this. These are all Torx, and I'm thinking, yeah, so I think we got to take this part off in order to get in the inside here. Yeah, that's much faster. Just start taking out screws wherever we find them. All right, now and off of there. What are you? Little LED light switch. I wonder if that was, so it's just an LED light. It's not a switch of any sort, just a light. So that was probably, I have no idea what that was. That's what that probably was. Oh man, all right. That's going to be sheet aluminum. I'll put it on a grinder and make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's aluminum. We'll get this board off of here. That's a kind of a large Torx right there. Yeah. All right, probably just, you know, lit up some sort of device. There's a little tantalum capacitor right there though, oscillator. So not quite sure what that board would have done, but that can easily go in your mid-grades. That piece is ferrous, and the screws were ferrous. Now then, let's see. We've got this thing opened up. Oh, you know what? We have little tabs here. Oops. And it looks like there's a screw going in there somehow. I wonder if this lid has to come off. All right, so we have gold pin connector, we have some transformers and some little ICs and some black tantalum capacitors, Dallas switch, whole bunch of MLCCs and MLCCs, that's the brown ones, and tantalum capacitors on this side. So mid-grade easy, maybe peripheral low grade. Here's a classic slot card, Goldfinger card. We'll take the heatsink off, take the bracket off for maximum value from boardsort.com. And this was, you know, you can see from these connectors, this was for your graphics connections. Interesting the way they put these boards in here. They have all these small connector boards. There's this was going to go in the back planes maybe, or just take the gold fingers off and go low grade. But that was clearly some, oh, that was the, so this was the backplane board that went into the motherboard for the IDE card to slot into. So that's what that was. And we have RAM here. Wow, 3 sticks of RAM. And what were you? 512 megabytes. So for its day, that was probably loaded up. Now we got some more screws we can get out of the way here. Yeah, we have the ribbon wire that is probably not what's holding things up. I still can't figure out what is preventing this thing from coming out. We'll get there eventually. That's going to go in with my number 3 insulated copper wire. That didn't do it. That's just going to get the CD-ROM. Is that a CD-ROM? It looks like it. Let's see. Oh. And I don't think these are supposed to break off. I think there was supposed to be some way to get those out of there other than breaking them. Let's go ahead and cut that ribbon wire. That's why I know that there's, you will find it eventually. We'll find that, you know, the 1 or 2 screws that would have made this much easier than what we're dealing with right now. So we have the hard drive caddy here. We have the CD-ROM here. What are you? Are you a Phillips? Why would they have done that? So it's all Torx except that one, and that one's a Phillips. That makes no sense. And the hard drive is connected here. Those look like these are smaller than T8s. And it's probably going to have to go on the other side to unscrew, but we'll get these while we're here. Oh, well, that heatsink comes out right like that. We'll get those, we'll finish getting the screws out of that and put that in with our aluminum. And there's our hard drive. So that board is going to be a high grade IDE pin hard drive board. It's not SATA, so that's the one that gets you more money. And this hard drive was an IBM Death Star. 123.5 gigabytes. Okay. Alrighty. 123.5 gigabytes. Now then, we have a floppy drive here, which is weird because I don't know how you would have put a floppy in. Because There's no way to put a floppy drive in that way. At least I think this is a floppy drive. It sure looks like one. Ah, interesting. This is a wireless antenna, and that wireless antenna was blocking a screw. Let's see, is there one over here? Yes, there is. Now here's another wireless antenna blocking a screw. There you are. Just trying to get that screw out of there. Let's see, did you come out on this side? Nope, I'll get you out on this side too. All right, we're getting there. Man, this is a messy scrap, isn't it? Aluminum. That's very, I can tell right away that's aluminum. All right, now, so that's weird that there's a floppy drive, but I don't know how you would have, I don't know how you would have put a floppy in there unless maybe, hang on, more aluminum. I wonder if the boot floppy was just in here the whole time. And that's a little Phillips. Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. So we've got some gold-plated pins in here. We can bust those off and put those with our gold connectors or throw this in with low grade. Up to you. And we have some more little Phillips here. The only reason I'm really, this is going to go in shred, the whole thing here, but I really want to see if there is a boot disc or some, you know, some disc that was just left in here all the time. Shred, you go there. I am so confused because there was no way that I could tell. I mean, this thing was right here, and you could see that you couldn't put a disc in there. So I wonder if maybe that somehow when it was powered up, that would come up or something. I don't know. I don't know. And I do not see a disc inside of here. Yeah, there's no disc inside of there. That's really weird. I'm gonna look and see if I can find something online, get a better idea of how that CD-ROM was supposed to function if there's no way that you were able to get to it. That's so strange. So strange. All right, I'm just throwing that in shred. And we have, so those are gold-plated pins inside of this. This can go in with your backplane boards. So that means that's going to be gold-plated, most likely. That's a reasonable assumption. So we're going to cut that off, put that in with our gold connector ends. And that's going to go in with my number 3 insulated copper wire. Your yard might call that, might have a separate category for ribbon wire or computer wire. I am now taking, at the recommendation of you all, when I cut off these brass power plugs, I'm putting them in with my low grade boards. That's a very legitimate thing to do, a great suggestion from you all, so I really appreciate it. I don't know why I never thought of that before, because I'm a dummy. This is pretty thin. I'm going to put it in with my number 3 insulated. All right, now we have a bunch more screws here. Torqueys, T8s. Oops. And let's see, what did that do for us? Apparently not much of anything. Somewhere there is a screw that I am missing. I tell you what, it's driving me nuts because I can't find it. I hate when that happens. All right, but there are some screws there that I can see, so let's get those. This is going to be the Wi-Fi board here. It's not a Wi-Fi card, it's the LAN card, so there's your connection where you would have plugged in your cable. Nice card still, right? This would have been gold-plated pins in here. We've got probably an epoxy-dipped tantalum capacitor. We have some ICs here, flat pack ICs, oscillator, transformer, that's a capacitor. We've got some more here with a nice chunky IC here. This can definitely go in your peripheral high grades. There we go. All right, now then. We still have just a lot of mystery screwing going on here, which doesn't sound right, does it? Oh, that screw helped a lot. What did that do? Well, isn't that interesting? All right. So that one screw there was going into this one bracket there, which was keeping that faceplate on. And now the issue is that the arm, that handle, is holding things up. So we're still got work to do here. We've got a riser here. And let's see, what are you? You are ferrous. We have a screw here, and another one here, and another one here. Yay! Wow, man, this has been a lot of work. A lot of work going on here. Gold-plated pins, so we can get that. The gold connector ends off of there. There's quite a bit of weight on here, so this might be some sort of processor board here with a heat sink on it. Let's see. Let's see. Wow, purple. All right, so gold pin array going on to that. And we have a whole bunch of tantalum capacitors. These are probably MLCCs of a different color. Flat pack IC. Let's get the heat sink off of here. Like that, like that. Popped up like that. All right, get that bracket out of the way. So that would have been the heat sink. And this would have been the central processor. That's the CPU. Interesting. Interesting. Is that Sonos? Is that what that is? I don't know. Sonnet. Sonnet Encore STG4. Well, I wonder. I mean, a lot of gold ENIG, a lot of ICs on here. We actually obviously have a processing chip here. This is very interesting. All right, a couple things here. Let's try. Let's see. Oscar may not recognize this board. Let's find out. Let me get everything out of the way so we don't confuse the picture. Okay, so once you're logged in, go down to the sales menu, go to Oscar, and then we're going to choose how to do this. We're going to say take a photo, and we're going to get the board in here as much as we can with the CPU centralized. We're going to go use photo. That's the one we took. Upload and grade. Now let's see what Oscar comes back with. Peripheral high grade. This image appears to be a circuit board with a CPU socket and various components. It seems to be a specialized board, possibly an upgrade card for a specific system. Given the presence of the CPU socket and the type of board, it would be graded as a peripheral high grade. So here's an example of where I don't think Oscar got this one right. It's not surprising. Oscar is still experimental. It's still learning. Chris will go back and review this at some point and make some adjustments, obviously. But the issue is that Oscar saw this as a CPU socket, not as an actual CPU. It's a ceramic CPU. So that's going to be something more than peripheral high grade, I believe. But I will try to find out from Chris and before we publish this and see if we can get some clarification. Well, that was convenient. Chris at boardsort.com called me shortly after we pulled this out, and I was scratching my head about it. So yeah, he agreed that Oscar misidentified it. This should have been an Apple CPU. That's where this would go, Apple CPU. Look for that category on boardsort.com. But you know, Oscar is still learning, and this presented some challenges, and so there we go, Apple CPU, which makes sense because we knew this was some sort of Apple device, and the motherboard itself did not have a CPU, so that's where that was the logic tree that I was going to use to figure it out anyway. Before we get to the motherboard, though, let's talk about this air port. I broke this open while I was talking to Chris. We just pull off these covers, and those are probably aluminum, although they're a little bit, they don't quite bend. They're probably going to be aluminum, but I'll put them on a grinder and confirm. Sometimes they're stainless, and we'll get that copper tape off of there. We'll set that over there. And what did we decide this was? Aluminum, but it's got a ferrous pin in the joint. So that's I'm either going to wrestle that pin out of there, or I'm going to throw that in with dirty aluminum. The board itself is a real nice board here. We've got a bunch of flat pack ICs, a lot of gold ENIG all around there. Same on this side. We've got some gold edge crystal oscillators. So this is going to go into peripheral high grade. I don't need Oscar to tell me that. All right, and Apple CPU. Put you aside, someplace where I don't lose you. Now then, the motherboard. Wait a minute, before we get to the motherboard, I wanted to show you this. Here it is. All right, this was the heatsink that was on the Apple CPU, and it felt really heavy, so I knew right away it was not aluminum, and when I scratched it, it was copper. So whenever you get, here, let me put that up there for y'all. Whenever you get heat sinks that feel kind of heavy, always give them a scratch test because they might be copper. Now, we've got this big knocking heatsink here that we have to get taken apart. So let's get to the motherboard here. Get that number 3 insulated copper wire off of there. This is actually a really decent motherboard. Big gold cornered BGA here. Another gold cornered BGA here. You've got nice tantalum capacitors. Look at all these yellow tantalum capacitors all over the place. Gold plated connectors in all of these. Flat pack ICs all over the place. We're going to take that riser off of there because we don't need to have that. Oh, we have another little board here. Let's see. What are... let's see. Is that you? No, that'll be you. All right. Huh. Okay, so... Oh, we have gold-plated pins on this LAN socket. We have flat pack IC, some MLCCs, Dallas switch, MLCCs, oscillator, IC. Yeah, we're going to throw this in with peripheral. Yeah, peripheral high grade. Yeah, that's cool. That's a reasonable grade for that. Now then, I want to get that riser off of there. There we go. So now we've removed, ooh, look, gotta get that riser off. They got the risers hiding all over the place. All right, now we have removed the junk. These connections are fine. Don't have to worry about that. But here's where we get into a really interesting situation. Because this was an Apple, the socket was on its own board. And now we have, you know, what do you do with this, right? Where do you put this? It's not a socketed motherboard. You can't put it with small metal sockets. You can't put it with P4. You might be able to go with an Apple motherboard for it. I don't know. Let's see what Oscar wants to call it, just for the fun of it. I have no idea how this is going to play out. I really don't. You know, a couple of gold cornered BGAs. I'm kind of thinking that Oscar will probably go with peripheral high grade. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Am I still on board sort? Yes, I am. All right, so I'm still on board sort. Let's go return to upload page. Good, we didn't time out yet. We'll take a photo and we'll get as much of it. We'll get, try not to have any shadow, get as much of it in the picture as we can. Use the photo, check the photo. Yep, that's it. Upload and grade. Peripheral high grade. Okay, $4.20 a pound. Yeah, that makes sense. It says, you know, because this is like default language, it is from a peripheral device and mostly populated with chips. Yeah, but, you know, peripheral high grades, peripheral doesn't have to. I mean, you know, 95% of them are going to come from some sort of peripheral device. Others are just the same quality board. So, yeah, I got no problem putting this in the peripheral high grades. That makes good sense. All right, well, I'm going to finish cleaning all this mess up, right? I need to get the slot card cleaned up. I need to get the aluminum cleaned up. You know, while I'm doing that, why don't you all check out the videos that are popping up on either side of the screen? And that round thing in the middle, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode going forward. Until we see you again, have a great one and be safe.